Hello, hello. It is the weekly wrap-up here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. I am sorry I missed everyone last week, but I will tell you why I missed you guys and tell you kind of what's been going on here. You would think in Minnesota we'd be used to snow, especially the snowstorm we got, but it's quickly when we have a really nice winter that we forget how much work snow is here at the sanctuary. So really what has been happening over the last week is these staff and the interns have been just physically working hard, shoveling everything for the cats, making sure there was no damage. Originally, we were supposed to get 31 inches of snow. We ended up getting probably about 10 to 12 when it was all said and done over 3 days because the moisture in the snow was so much that it made it heavy and compacted. And so that's the only reason we had less snow. So it was a lot of work for everybody. And they're really, even though it might melt over the next week, we don't want everything more muddy than it's already going to be and more underwater. So together we kind of put together a list of priorities and we have that for a lot of reasons. There's some cats that can go out like Dash and go right out into the snow, and we know he'll shift back in for when we want to go in and shovel and clear. So he can get access right away. But other cats, like Asian leopard cats, that snow was way taller than those little cats. And so we obviously don't want them getting hurt out there. The small cats don't like to run out and say hello in a lot of deepest snow. But then there's special needs cats like Cougar Noah, who has that really back end sway, and even Tiger Noah, who loves snow, but it's a lot of work for him. And then, of course, Serval Chili. And we had to make some decisions then. You would think you'd want to go and shovel paths for them right away, but we learned that there was going to be rain coming too. And if you shovel those paths and it rains, then you're really just turning it into an ice rink. So every day and every hour was different. Of course, then when cats are locked in too long so that we can shovel or to make sure safety due to the storm, then the cubs, like the Ukraine cubs, all want to urinate inside because God forbid they get their little toes cold. And so it becomes a very smelly, ammonia-filled building. And of course, based on our standards, we don't want that. That's not safe for the animals or the people. So we have to kind of bob and weave and then go in and have caretakers clean out those areas. So it's definitely not as seamless as you think of just going out and shoveling. There's a lot of cats still need their meds. You need to do checks in a covered vehicle. We need to make sure that the cleaning's done for those that need it. We need to make sure that we see any cats that might be vulnerable, especially those like Alyssa, the lilager, who's really stressed about being locked indoors for an extended period of time. So that individualized care that the staff and the interns provide does not change or go away on snow days. It actually just amps up even more. So I have to say thank you to every person at TWS. They worked so hard. A lot of this, the office staff had to work from home because they couldn't get in, but that animal care staff, facilities, animal care managers, operations directors, our vet, they come in no matter how hard it is to get here. And I was sick over a period of time, so I wasn't much help at all. So again, a huge shout out to the staff and the team here. So as of today, everybody's outside and has access to the outdoors. The stinky cats have been cleaned. We're kind of back to status quo and hope we don't get another spring snowstorm. But really our spring snowstorms or the ice are the hardest at all. The regular winter snowstorms with the light snow, those are a breeze, but we don't want to see any more of those either. So on our weekly wrap-up, we're still in Miracle Match mode. Miracle Match is our 2-month marathon fundraiser that really gets us the lion's share of fundraising over the years. And you really help us meet these really important goals we have for this fundraiser. You've helped us did enhancement habitats. You've helped us get medication. And now what we're asking for is your help supporting our internship program. As you know, we have wonderful staff here, but we really are a teaching facility and a teaching sanctuary. And we have anywhere from 5 to 8 interns at a time at a session. And we have them in the media department that are here learning social media, fundraising, how to share impactful story with the public. And then we have our animal care interns who are usually graduates of biology, zoology, going to be veterinarians, things like that, that really, some of them know exactly what their career path is and they want to get more experience. And others are trying to decide, do they want to be field biologists? Do they want to work at a sanctuary? Do they want to work at a zoo environment? And so we're really here to teach them about the work of an accredited sanctuary and what the captive wildlife crisis is. Many of them coming to us have never heard about the captive wildlife crisis. And our goal is that when they learn really useful skills, that they leave here with that compassion and that knowledge, and they bring it wherever they go. And you saw in that lovely video that Olivia and Judson put together, that we have people in the zoo world, we have people working at other sanctuaries, we have people in the vet world, and so they are going on making a huge, huge difference. And why they're here, it is hard work. It is manual labor. It is long hours. We are one of the few sanctuaries that provide free housing, and very nice housing, I would say. These are, it's communal living, but there's 3 houses we have. We provide the TV, the linens, the beds, the furniture, everything that they need there. And then we also provide a stipend, a weekly stipend to cover gas and food. But even during the snowstorm, they all came in. We had blow-up mattresses. They slept here. They were here to make sure that if anything happened overnight, they could help shovel, respond, clear ice. So it is high demand on them, but we also not only just use them to help the cats here, but they gain such a wonderful knowledge. They actually go through individual courses. So here we have classes on the captive wildlife crisis. It's a small cat crisis. They go through operant conditioning. They even meet with Dr. Campbell and have a whole presentation on the type of drugs we do and chemical immobilization. Even at the end of their internship, we do a tricks and tips class on how to get a job in an industry. And we review resumes. We tell them how to write a resume, give them contact information. And so it's really a well-rounded program. And it costs us money to put that on. And we want to be fair, and we want to be able to give this opportunity to so many students. And so we're trying to raise several $1,000s to cover only 4 of the 10 plus interns we have here a year. So if you give $5, it becomes $10, 25 becomes 50. And if we can cover 4 stipends at $160 a week for a year, that would be amazing. That's over $20,000, $24,000. So just so you know, when you give to Miracle Match during this time period, not only is it doubled, but it's going to a really, really worthy cause. And not only are you helping the cats, but you're helping future generations that will be treated with compassion and care from these wonderful interns that have left. I feel bad sometimes because there's been so many interns that have come through our program that until I see their faces again, I don't always put a name with a face. And so we have our intern reunion once a year as well, and this will be our 2nd time doing it. And it's just awesome to see the amazing things that these young people are doing after leaving their internship here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. So another thing with Miracle Match, since it's 25 years of saving lives, we're talking about cats that we've saved in the past, that you've helped us save, that you might not know or you might know. And 2 of the stories we're highlighting is Cougar Tasha 2, because we already had a Tasha 1. And Tasha 2 will always be remembered as one of the sweetest cougars. Judson shared with you the story that she was a pet that got out of a garage before she was taken in by another facility who placed her with us. And she had some severe head trauma and neurological trauma, but she still was the happiest cougar ever. And she came to us with Nikita, the white tiger, who has quite a story. And that story was more than just Nikita and Tasha. There was 6 cats at that facility that I helped place. And they had come from horrific backgrounds, and the place in Ohio that took them in did so for a period of time until the state law made it difficult. But Nikita came from one of the most notorious people that, I mean, I had heard about for years, Sam Mazzala. And he had taken bears to bar to county fairs that had their claws and their teeth removed, and you could do bear wrestling for a fee. It was just disgusting. He also took tigers, mostly white tigers, to malls, and he would have them chained down on, and Nikita was one of them, chained down on a board, and the public could come sit with them, even little kids, with their photo taken. And he would do this over and over. He had this crate that was so skinny that I don't even think I could put Diffley the dog in. But that was the travel crate that Nikita and others went in. And they would just travel and travel. After this gentleman passed away, we found out that he not only abused animals, he abused people, especially young people that worked for him. And it was just horrific, the stories we heard. One caretaker reached out and told us the story of that Nikita had potentially almost killed a person and ripped apart their neck, and that she was known as being an aggressor. And so instead of letting her be a tiger, Sam would go in and hit her blunt force with the bottom of a fire extinguisher. He sprayed her all the time with a hose. He confined her. She had to fight for food for other cats, with other cats. She didn't get her own food. And there's a couple cats that Nora, you might know from Nora from Wildcat Ridge, was Nikita's sister. And what Nora did is she became complacent and accepted life in captivity. She actually was very social and chuffy and nice, where Nikita went the other direction. When she was broken, she didn't get broken. She got broken here. And was fearful and fear aggressive, and was one of the scariest tigers we've ever met. I know Tim from Outreach for Animals reached out to us too. I asked him to go visit there before we went down there and help assess as we were a few days away, and he said Nikita was one of the most dangerous and had to be removed by us before going anywhere else. And so with calm and patience, not only from Denise, who was working at the facility, but the staff that was with us, and really Nikita knowing a crate so well, she did walk right into that crate gently for us. But she had really an adverse reaction to cameras and flashes because of all her times traveling at the shopping malls and things like that. And so when we came here to Minnesota, she had this big, about 6,000 square foot habitat. And we said that every news camera or anything around had to be 100 feet away, and you had to zoom in because we knew how sensitive and how much she hated cameras. What we didn't know is that one individual photographer went out and put a GoPro camera, which is about this big, on and clipped it to the outside of the enclosure. And so no humans were there. We actually let her out into her room and out into the enclosure, exactly where Dash is living right now. And we were on the other side of the building, and what we heard was terrifying. We heard just guttural growls and hitting the fence and just the most upset, insanely upset tiger we'd ever seen. And when we walked around, I'm like, what is she attacking? And the photographer said, I know you said no cameras, but I really didn't think she'd even see a GoPro. We didn't even know he had put it on the fence. But she'd seen that little reflection, and her reaction was just so strong. So it took so long for us to get to know Nikita, win her trust. She hated her water bucket being filled with a hose because that's what she was penalized for. I remember us having to go in and just walk in and lift one arm up, and she'd roar and attack the fence while we were in the hallway, and just put our arm down. And we did this a little by little. We would move our arm down here, and just these little baby movements. Sometimes we'd turn around, sometimes kneeling was her trigger, and we'd just do these little movements with a big reward afterward to try and make her understand that none of these movements were going to cause harm, just so we could do basic husbandry. And over the years, Nikita still had Nikita's edge, just like Sabrina, but wow, did she warm up. And Denise and her husband, who took care of her at that interim facility, came to visit and couldn't believe she was the same cat. Tim Harrison from Outreach came to visit and couldn't believe she was the same cat. She was rolling and actually putting her belly up. It just is amazing because we didn't do that for her. TWS can't take credit. We all take credit together that you guys help us fund rescues in our work, that we can provide tools so that the animals are given the space and what they need to heal themselves. I wish we could say we could heal them, but that's taking too much credit. It's really us giving them the time and the tools they need to trust again. And so Nikita will always be very special, even though she put Sabrina, I think, to shame when it came to knowing her personality. But another fun, really quick fact, we were just talking about Nora. So I placed Nora and Katie went to Wildcat Ridge, and many of you guys know them in Oregon. And so Cheryl has been a long-term friend of mine, and so I finally got to spend a few days with her over the weekend and got to tour the sanctuary. I've been there before, but it's been a long time since I've been there, so that was really fun. And more importantly is that having somebody that I've known for so many years in the industry, from the first cat I rescued, we don't get to see each other and spend time together as much. You'd think we would. And so we got to just be girlfriends, hang out and be friends. And we both went and got a tattoo of a cat that has passed away that meant so much to us. So I got Baby Jenga's cat tattoo on my leg, which it'd be too hard for me to show you here, so I can show a picture later and stuff. So it was really nice to get away, but I think with traveling and things, I also got sick, so came back and I was sick for a few days, but that was really fun, so I wanted to share that with you. Also, next week, I'm supposed to be going to the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance retreat for the board that I'm on there. And that's where we work together and figure out what is the future going to be for the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance. What initiatives do we want now that the Big Cat Public Safety Act's passed? What do we need to do as a coalition? How do we support our members? And I'm hoping that I'm still feeling well enough to get there. It's another thing I'm thinking about right now. If I'm still as iffy as I am, I don't know if being on a plane is the best place to be. But if not, I will join via Zoom. So I'll check that. But on top of all that, back today, we have a board meeting tonight. So really what we've looked at is what is the landscape of sanctuaries. And it's so hard because when you want to go look at IRS statements to see, okay, where we in terms of all the other sanctuaries and dog and cat rescue groups, because we have to look at our business model as well. We want to be sustainable for years to come. Those are numbers, and yes, the IRS lives by them, and Charity Navigator, and all these things, and we respect that, but it's really hard to tell the big picture. So we're looking at the landscape of all everybody's financials in the industries compared to ours as TWS. It's hard to say, like, if they had lower expenses, because expenses are what your daily operating costs are. Is it because they spent a lot of money on a capital improvement, like we've done with the Bobcat area, Pride Prairie, or we're going to do with Catio Town? Did they put that money into savings and they just don't have expenses? Did they invest it? When we look at salary comparisons, it just says as what they pay for overall wages. It doesn't tell us how many employees they are versus how many employees we have. Or you can look at that we both might have the same number of employees, but what the 990 doesn't tell you is how much land they have, how many animals they care for, always what type. So we're trying to dig in to figure that out and go, okay, how are we in line with other sanctuaries? We want to make sure we're always stewards of donors' dollars, but we also want to make sure that we're following our business plans and investing in our staff and people. But it can look like we have more in salaries than another organization does with the same budget, but then we look that they might only have 30 animals and we have 150, or we're not open to the public, so our animal care team is 100% animal care. They might have more and less animals, but they're giving tours, they have lodging, things like that. So it's not black and white, but it's one thing we do every couple of years is just to see how, kind of take the temperature of how we are in the animal welfare world in terms of strategic planning, budgeting, forecasting, things like that. And then where our donors and supporters want us to be. So there's always a lot more than just feeding that animal. And on top of that, we can't believe crew days, our volunteer crews that come to help tear down or build big projects, is already starting on April 12th. So still with huge snow on the ground, we're trying to rearrange. Are we going to be tearing down the bungalows? We still have to, but we don't want cats to go into temporaries with a lot of snow. Do we have to shovel out those temporaries? Are we going to move them to different places? Also, as we move some of those Bengals, Harley was supposed to move next week, and Riku's group, we've probably rearranged that Harley will move to a temporary area in the trailer, and that we might move Leo and Eddie to the catio here so that nobody has to move into a snowy temporary. So we're switching that around type of things based on the weather. And then we have the yearbook issue coming out next month. So if you guys are not getting Uproar, definitely make sure you give that $25 gift or more. That will be doubled, but it will also put you on the Uproar mailing list if you're in the United States. And so that'll be fun to get that yearbook issue out next month as well. So a lot's been going on. A lot continues to go on. Animal updates, there hasn't been a lot. No news is good news. Aiden and Apollo, the little Asian leopard cats, a few of them have had sniffles and congestion, which doesn't surprise me with the cold temps and also being locked in. So Dr. Campbell's been looking at them. I'm trying to think of, we've had a few boats of some cats with some runny stool, Kitu Lavani, like we always do. We had Coco and Sine, Savannah's, went on a rampage last night, and there must have been some rodents or birds that have found their way into their habitat, and they went out into the snow and decided to catch their own meals and left remnants of that around the yard. So that wasn't really fun for the caretaker to find today. And then Alyssa said there is domestic cat footprints around the sanctuary, and as you guys know, we get a lot of strays in our area. So we're watching to where those footprints go, if they pass through, or if we're going to have to be doing a cat trap on another feral cat trap. Over the past week, I've gotten a call on a domestic cat, 2 Savannah cats, a couple of Bengals. That's not stopping. Those requests just keep coming in. And so I'm really focusing on the ones that are not owner surrenders and trying to give owner surrenders other options and work on the ones that are animal control and things like that. The hardest thing is some of them can't transport or won't. The ones that do, we're very thankful for, because we want them to take the extra steps to get their cat to a safe place. We just can't always, sadly, drop everything for everybody's domestic Bengal or domestic Savannah if the owners won't meet us halfway in getting them to a safe sanctuary or a safe rescue group. So with that, I think that's a weekly wrap-up. I don't even think I took a breath during that. Mostly because, like I said, I've been under the weather the last couple days, and it's my first day back in the office. And so I've got my list in my head that I want to get accomplished before the end of the day. But one of those was definitely to do my weekly wrap-up, say thank you to all of you who have given so far during Miracle Match, and to thank you for those that will continue to give as we meet these huge goals that are so important to the work we do, and not only here at the sanctuary, but how the trickle effect to outwards to so many other animals and humans that'll be touched by our interns, our staff, and the rescue stories that you help us make possible.